everyone. It's Erin Ashley Simon. Welcome back to Grassroots Podcast. Make sure you subscribe, hit that notification button, and also check out our YouTube. Join us on Discord as well. Our community's in there. We discuss so many different topics. But today we're actually going to try something a little bit different. But before we get to that point, we're going to introduce the rest of our team. Like I said, I'm Erin Ashley Simon.
I'm Brandon Killabh.
The regular Nas. Let's make sure I'm focused. I'm good.
I'm Wylson.
Wait, Wylson, you're really just going to say that and not take note to the fact that you have a studio, you got color lights going on? Like, bro, this is not BET Uncut. Like, what are you doing?
Well, I was gonna let the fans observe that and breathe it in.
Oh,
as I wanted to set the tones for them with this passionate purple. As I, too, am also wearing mauve.
Wait, hold on. Are you wearing glasses? You don't even wear glasses. What is happening right now? You can see just fine.
I definitely do wear glasses and have in past episodes.
I look studious.
But I more so want people to focus on the mauve because I am feeling marvelous.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Well, on that note, despite the fact that 2020 has been pretty ridiculous year in so many different ways, there's actually been some really great news coming out for different people. Huh?
Nas ain't go, right? Am I bugging?
No.
He introduced himself.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, so maybe because mine cut out. I didn't hear Nas. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I didn't
Nas
hear
is like
Nas.
this, introducing himself in focus.
Oh yeah, but my phone fell. That's why. My head. It's fine. Go.
Oh,
it's
man. So,
Nas.
yeah, I got it. So today's episode, let's get into the Charlamagne launching the Black Effect Podcast Network with iHeartRadio. He's introducing 18 podcasts on the iHeartRadio and other platforms curated by Charlamagne according to iHeart. The venture is positioned as one of the largest excuse me, I'm flustered here. Positioned with one of the world's largest podcast publishers dedicated to Black listeners and Black voices in Black culture. So what are you guys' thoughts on that?
First, I think it's dope. Just on the simple fact that being a Black man in America and having that type of opportunity with a company like iHeart, I think is great, right? Like you can't, that's awesome. Even for the people that are signed on there, I know that Nori's on there, Mandy, Horrible Decision, shout out to them, and a few other like cool podcasts that are on there. So I think it's definitely going to, number one, pay some bills. Number two, it's going to open up some doors, right? Number three, the exposure is great for all of the people that are there. And number four, I think just for Charlamagne as well, to be able to get all of these creatives together to, come over to iHeart. I just think it is a really good thing. I'll start there. So that's my first piece. What do you guys think?
I think for me, I do like the fact that he wants to change the narrative for Black creators from just transactional deals to actual forming legacy partnerships. I think that sometimes, and honestly, like it's even beyond just a Black creator standpoint. I think that even just as creatives, that we tend to right away think about the checks, right? Think about these deals instead of figuring out, okay, not having just that immediate check, but how can we create long-lasting revenue? How can we create more generational wealth? And also another thing too is like even with that, even when we change that mindset, I think that this is kind of a good example of asking for what you've earned and deserve. I noticed another thing too when it comes to creatives, and even more specifically Black creatives. It's like sometimes people are afraid to ask for ownership or ask for these partnership deals that will create opportunities and more of a generational wealth profit for not only you but those who are associated with it. And I think this is a good step because I think that we as Black creators have to stop thinking about just getting a big check and think more about the moves that we need to make to have that consistent revenue stream coming in instead of just like that one massive check. Like for me, I would rather have $1 million cut up and spread out during a long period of time than getting a $1 million check right away.
Why?
Agreed.
Have it
Agreed, I would.
because even if you get that $1 million check, right? If you get that check, yeah, it seems great at first, right? But you're more likely to spend it. It's kind of like that guy who gets revenue from, what was it, The Lion King? And is getting consistent checks from that. And a lot of times as creators, we kind of look at that one big check. And it's like, oh, we made it. Like, that's the big check. That's what we take. When in actuality, that's a business move by big companies to literally just pay you out and then you don't have ownership, or that they don't want to keep paying you moving forward. It's a residual revenue that a lot of businesses don't want to do. Like, they don't want it. They rather just pay you out and have you leave and not bother. But that residual income that's consistent is actually more worthwhile because it's consistent and you're going to always get money. Like, even if you go broke, right? You're still going to get money and you still have a foundation that you can continue to build on.
Yeah. To E's point, who she was talking about was Jason Weaver, from the original Lion King. He was the original voice of Simba that sang all these songs. When he was approached by, I'm not sure if it was Disney or whomever owns that record, they pretty much offered him a lump sum of money. Luckily enough, his mom was smart enough to turn down that money to, again, get some generational wealth within their family, where he's paid pretty much for the rest of his life off of doing this one, Disney movie. So it's a smart move, right? Like, there's a lot of people out there that would have probably taken that money. So that's why I said, I agree as well. Don't give me all that money up front. Just because that's a lot of money for someone that doesn't have a lot of experience with it. And then if you don't have experience with it, or people around you that can guide you to kind of make the better decisions out there, then yeah, you're going to do some dumb shit. But if you're smart, then again, you can set yourself up and your family up for long-term success.
And to add on to that, to get even just take numbers, it says since the film's release in 1994, Weaver has earned more than $1.9 million in royalties.
Mm-hmm.
Must be nice.
So he's actually, he ended up making more.
Play the long game,
yeah.
baby.
Yeah.
Play the long game.
Yep, 100%. So now speaking, go. Sorry.
I was gonna say, with the Black Effect Podcast Network, does anybody else wish that it was maybe named something a little different? Like, I feel like throwing the name Black on it, almost gives me like an affirmative a little bit, like an affirmative action type of vibe, where people may look at it like all the podcasts on that network are getting a handout of some sort, when really we know what it is. Black podcasts or Black entertainers in general sometimes don't get the opportunities that they should. But I love the agenda of the network, and I think it's a great thing, but I do kind of wish it just wasn't named the Black Effect. It could have been like Our Effect or something else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like that might turn some people off. You know what I'm saying? When we want to bring all the attention to it. Yeah.
I think it's going to turn, that's a good point. I think it's going to turn people off regardless, just off of the simple fact that it's supposed to be a Black network with nothing but, I guess, Black creatives or multicultural creatives. I don't know, because again, we're all still learning all of the details as it comes, right? But what we do know is that, it's titled the Black Network. When I first saw it, I was kind of like, ugh. Just because I feel like while that is a fight, right, it should also be about just creatives as well. It's a bigger fight than just the color creation, trying to say, oh, this is the Black network, so it could have that connotation of fighting a Black fight, when it's while it's about that, it's about equal opportunity, but it's also about creatives having a place. So I agree about the name.
Yeah. I wish he would have did it like Tyler Perry Studios.
Let's get into that.
Charlamagne Network, and then give the opportunities to Black
people. I don't know, and I don't even know if I'm sure he probably named that, right? But that's what I think about, right? So like, we were before recording, we talked about how we were going to talk about this particular topic, especially pertaining to Joe, right? So for me, while I think that it's an amazing thing, I also feel like it just came out at a time, or was announced at a time, that was like really, it was just bad timing. And maybe it was good timing, depending on how you look and whatever lens is coming through, but it was just bad timing because it takes away from the point and the goal of what, you know, Charlamagne is saying that he's trying to accomplish. And hey, I'm trying to create this platform for creatives and for Black people so that we can create opportunity. But in the same token, again, you have it coming out in these crazy times where I feel like as time passes on, as these things start to unfold, it'll start to overshadow the point of what this air quotes network is supposed to be about, and that's for creatives. And I think that I hope that doesn't get lost in all of this, because that's supposed to be the point of this, right? It's supposed to be the fight. You know, Black Lives Matter, creatives, well, everyone should have ownership. Everyone should have an opportunity. Yet somehow that's not the main focus of this, and I don't want that to be lost.
Like I also bring it up because when you look at like BET, like BET, you know, could have like great entertainment and everything, but for some reason we look at it a little bit differently. Because
we do look at it differently because of the cinematography, the way that the commercials are shot, how it's even how we even view the BETs. It's not regarded the way it's regarded, the way a Grammys is regarded, the way the Oscars.
Even an MTV award.
Agreed.
Appears to have more weight than a Black Entertainment Award television, because it's all for Black people, and it's almost like you cut out the competition aspect, even though we are probably the greatest competition. You know what I'm saying? In general. But I don't know. It just always kind of throws an asterisk on everything once you just title it Black.
Once you put it, I feel like once you put a color on anything, especially, that's always been my thing. Like, I feel like once you put, oh, that's a Black male, or that's a white male, or that's a whatever male, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like the moment you do that, it just changes how people view things. It changes how it's received. It changes maybe the message that you're trying to have resonate with the audience or your consumer base. It changes so many different things that, again, I really just hope that, and this is for all, I hope that that the point of whatever this is supposed to be, that's being displayed to us, I hope that does not get missed.
You know why?
With all this other stuff.
You know why I think that people view anything that's named as Black as something different or lower quality or anything like that. People want Black culture, they want Black product, but they don't want to deal with Blackness. They don't want to deal with things around being Black. Like, and I've noticed that, right? Because it's just like, or they view certain aspects of our products and what we provide and what level of power we have. So as long as we aren't in a certain position, right? Like, look at it. Like, I talked to you guys before about HBCUs. It's like, why do people view HBCUs as if they're not as reputable or established as some of these other universities, when they've had so many talented, successful people come from HBCUs? I mean, look, Chadwick, Howard, you know, like, it's just, I don't and so I think that, like, there's certain things that people want from us, but either they are afraid that they can't resonate with some of the content, the black, like I said, the Blackness, the Black culture content, or they just don't want to deal with some of the other content or some of the other aspects that will be associated with that content, in terms of conversation. Like, people right now, they're like, oh, I'm tired of having Black Lives Matter shoved down my throat. It's like, it's not shoving down your throat. You know, these are real issues. But because it has, I feel like because it has Black in it, Black Lives Matter, it triggers people, and they want to be a part of our culture. They want to be part of our content, but they don't want to deal with or hear some of the things that is within our culture and within our community.
But then that's the thing.
Those people are racist. And anybody who pretends to not understand why it's called Black Lives Matter or that movement,
no, that's not what she's saying. What she's saying is that because it's called BLM or Black Lives Movement or whatever the movements are these days at this point, it has a connotation that creates resistance for someone that is not Black. That's not, she's not saying that they don't understand it. Now, for me,
the thing is, though, those titles need the word Black in it, though. Like, Black Lives Matter, you have to put the word Black in there.
but
because black people are being shot.
but it's more so it's less about like it's less about diving into the contextual aspect of Black Lives Matter. It's just more so like you see how people are saying all lives matter instead of just being like Black Lives Matter. It's no one is saying that other lives don't matter. But what I've noticed is kind of what you guys are saying. Anytime that the word black is associated, whether it's associated with a college, historically black colleges, universities, BET, Black Entertainment, network and television. Anytime there's black that's associated, there is a little bit of a resistance. And there is the whole concept that people want black culture. They want things from our community. But the word black is kind of like a triggering or resisting word for certain people and for certain companies and brands, because they understand that if it's black in it, that more than likely the content within it may have social or other components of it that they just don't want to deal with.
But that's the thing. And because of that, then they don't want to deal with black culture. Black culture at this point is just what it is. Black folks are angry. Black folks are outraged. Black folks are emotional. Black folks are passionate. Black folks speak their mind no matter what the circumstances are, just because that's what it is. Black folks, at times can stick together, sometimes don't stick together, but that's all black culture. You're either going to be a part of it and try to uplift it, or it's going to be the complete opposite. You can't have your cake and eat it too, right? Like you can't want to have black faces to kind of fix or revamp or rework what your organization looks like, because there's a need for it right now. There's a niche kind of for black folks. And the moment that you then misuse that, someone sharp is going to call you out on. You have to prepare for that. And that's one of those things where I like the most is that there's a time to speak up when it comes to stuff like that. And I feel like this is the most important time. Like if you're talking to these Fortune 500 companies, if you're talking to small businesses or advertisers or whatever, find out what their agenda is. Find out, what they're trying to do. What is their objective? Why are they hiring you at this climate when maybe you've reached out before? Maybe you were dealing business with them before. Black creatives and minorities at this point should be very, very careful how they're used and or misused. Period.
Black people been angry since the Watts riots in '65.
Yeah. You were there. You were there for that, right?
These mad pictures with Nas.
Word, like
Nas in the background.
In the 60s.
You saw me in one of the old pictures?
100%.
Yeah, but you know what? When I'm listening to you guys speak, and the thing that I'm hearing is what Joe was saying a week ago about Charlamagne, and it's just like, yo, you still work for iHeart. Like in my head, you still work for iHeart, and I'm not being bitter like, oh, this podcast didn't get picked up or whatever. But I'm just saying, Charlamagne, you work for iHeart. You still have a boss, and what Joe, Dame Dash, Nipsey, and Diddy were all preaching was ownership.
Yeah.
And it's all ownership. And once we control our culture, we can dictate. All the money goes back to us. You can't say like, oh, I'm for black this, black that, and then the money goes right back to somebody else and to another community who doesn't really care. It was just using you to what you're saying, Brandon, is why are they hiring you right now when you reached out a year ago and they were like, oh, well, we want to go somewhere else. We're
to think about that.
I don't know.
Is it true? Is it true ownership, Nas? Like, can we even say this is a black-owned business? And,
no.
And how do we differentiate what is actually black-owned and what is just the leader of it is just black? You know what I'm trying to say? Like, how do we determine what's actually black-owned?
I get what you're saying. You can constitute it as a black-owned business per Charlamagne being the head of that department. Right. So technically he would be the boss because he's the person that is bringing this talent to iHeart. He's the person that I guess seemingly created this department of sorts or network from what he's calling it. Now, again, when you get into the crux of it, to Nas's point, his check is coming from iHeart that he then is distributing down to the talent or however that works out. But he himself is getting money to then take that to pay to the talent, right? And again, his check comes from iHeart, I'm assuming, because like he's still employed by iHeart. Everything is kind of anchored by iHeart with this, right? The difference is from what Joe was saying is, no, he is the person that generates the revenue. The revenue goes to him, and then he distributes that to his people. There's no one that has to pay Joe outside of the direct businesses that he deals with and or the people that he deals with. That is what he's preaching for. That is what he's saying. Hey, you should be striving for this. So yeah, that's a great situation that you had, and we applaud it. But that's not true ownership, and you're misleading people into thinking that that is the right way and that that is ownership. That's not ownership, right? Because at the end of the day, if you walk away from iHeart, Charlamagne himself said, yo, it's a 50-50 thing. That's not ownership, right? It's 50-50. Now, the difference is if you came to them with the idea or if you created, that's something totally different. But the moment you do that and it's not established and that maybe iHeart created it and brought you on or vice versa, whatever it is, iHeart is there and they own it. You can't walk away with it. You don't own that IP. You can't go to another network with it because iHeart owns it. That is the fight that creatives have to start to think about in terms of ownership. While it's a good look, let me be clear, it's a good look. Is it the best look? Is it the best look that you can get from an entrepreneurial standpoint? Is it the best look that you can get from a creative standpoint and ownership? I don't think so. But
sorry to jump in, but would you see this as the same lens as Nick Cannon fighting back to suing Viacom to get Wild 'N Out back? Like, would you see that as a potential result?
Similar, just because again, he went there with it. There's a difference. He went there with it. It wasn't mutually created, right? Like he went there with the idea and said, "Yo, this is what I want to do. Let's go partner together." But it's still his. If he walks away with it, it's still his. That's what he's fighting for, and that's why Viacom now is they're changing their stance on how they're even engaging him and those negotiations, because when you get to the root of it and ownerships and all of these things, when you talk about IPs, when you talk about owning your likeness, owning a concept of sorts, they have to look at that a little differently now, because those circumstances are very much what I'm saying now. There's a difference in the power. So
I think,
and again, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, no, that Nick Cannon thing is different to me because he read that contract. You read that contract and you knew exactly what you were getting into. You can't be both. You can't be Fred Hampton and Huey P. Newton. You can't be those brothers and get on TV and start calling people devil, which he apologized for, in with his remarks, and then turn around and put a smiling face on and you start singing and dancing, and you can't be both. You got to pick a side at that point. If you wearing turbans and you throwing the fist up, then like we talk, I don't want to rehash this, but you had Caucasian people that work for you. And when you tell somebody like you're less than, how do you go back to work and smile in their face and give them handshakes and say, all right, let's get to work? You can't be both. And I think that's what we as a people have to learn. We have to learn that you can be pro-black and I love my skin. I love the skin I'm in. I love my hair. I love my big bell pepper nose. I love all that about me, and not have to diminish and tear down other people. And I think as a community, we have some sort of identity issues, right? You want to talk about ownership. And I love Master P for his ownership and his entrepreneurial stuff. I love E40 for it. However, when I look at Master P and I look at Mariotti, so why does it have to be an Italian name? I get you branded Percy Miller before with your clothing line and you had success. But what does that say to our people? Or maybe it's not Master P, maybe it's he knows something about the black community that they're not going to mess with it if I put Percy Miller on it. Or if I'm El Pooja and I put Todd Smith on it, they're not going to buy it unless it has this French or Italian or foreign aspect to it.
But doesn't that go back to the fact that if there's anything that is closely tied to the word black or anything like that, it turns certain people off?
Well, yeah, well, that goes to the old saying, the white man's ice is colder. Yeah, if I'm selling ice and this white guy's selling ice, You might go buy his ice because you think it's colder. And that, again, that's an identity thing. That's a self-worth thing, you know? Sean John, P. Diddy made Sean John and turned it into a $1 billion company. Opened it up to the market. These are the people that I looked up to, that I aspire to be like Dame Dash. He's been preaching ownership. Don't be I don't deal with culture vultures.
Yeah.
But then you turn around and, you know, I'm gonna do a deal here. Or it's black owned, but in the back I'm gonna do a business with this guy who doesn't really like me.
Yeah. Wylson, do you feel like it's a quality thing? Like, why is it that anything that is closely tied or is known as black owned is not viewed in the same light as something that's Italian or French or anything like that? Is it a quality thing? Is it a quality thing that we've set ourselves? Is it a quality thing where they view it as less? Like, why is that the case?
I'm not sure, but to Nas's point, which would also tie into that, as far as like naming it after yourself, I've never, from an artistic standpoint, I've never liked that. I feel like if you name something after yourself, it's most likely gonna kind of fail, and you don't really want to be attached to that. As far as him naming it like an Italian name, I don't have the biggest problem with that. I'm not a big fan of the name of it, but isn't that kind of what they do to us with like cultural appropriation? Like they take our stuff and they'll make it sound like hip and kind of like black and cool to sell it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So if we do it to another culture, I'm not going to stand up in arms about it. You know what I'm saying? But I do think that we do have to. It's like we've discussed this on other podcasts about how not everything black owned is dope, right? But I think that we do at the same time have something in our minds that we look down on some of our own things when we should be holding it up and praising it because we determine what's cool. And
but the quality has to be there, Wylson.
Yeah, it does.
No, that's what I'm saying. The quality does have to be there, but even some things that do have a similar quality or whatever else, we do overlook.
I think as a community, we have to change our viewpoints in terms of what success actually looks like. Like, I think that as a community, there's certain things that we look at as, oh, this is the goal point for success, right? Having my own sneakers or my own liquor, right? But then when we see things like Shaq with his sneaker in, what was it, Walmart? Chris, can you confirm that? With his sneaker line and how some people viewed that as less because it was associated with that chain. Or, you know, we see people like Ray J with scooters, or we see people doing toilet paper investments. I think that we have to change our mindset as a community in terms of where success can come from. Because it's like, I feel like sometimes we always aim for the same traditional route, that we lose opportunities because we don't look at other avenues or spaces that we ourselves can develop and grow and actually create that generational wealth off of something that others may not even think would work. Like also the rap snacks thing, like that's like it's just like thinking outside the box and looking at long-term investments and revenue streams that aren't tied to these stereotypical things that people associate with the Black community.
Now, I'm actually glad that you mentioned Shaq and Walmart, because that's like that right there. That's a good example of something has to be dope. Because if Kanye went and did a deal with Walmart, we would buy it. He does a deal with Gap. I'm already spiritually standing outside of Gap waiting for the clothes. I'm already online. So I think that we definitely, it depends on who's attached to it in the Black community. And I feel like even with like Kanye stuff, whether we buy Kanye's stuff, Jerry Lorenzo, which is Fear of God, or Virgil Abloh, we're not buying them because they're Black owned businesses or Black.
Buying it because it's dope.
Or designers. Exactly. We're buying it because it's dope.
But I have to say though, for Shaq, he wasn't so focused in on like making it super, super dope. He was focusing on making it affordable. And making it affordable, but cool enough that kids could get it. And he was successful. I think he sold like, was it 120 million?
That was the problem. Successful chain.
Yeah.
But that's the problem, because little kids only see cool. They know what's cool. They don't shop with their own wallet. So you know what I'm saying? I remember as a kid, if my mom would have tried to get me some Payless kicks, not happening.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't happening. You know what I'm saying? I may not have had like Jordans and whatnot, but you're not going to disrespect me with these Payless joints.
Yeah, but honestly, Shaq sneakers aren't that bad. Like, it's enough where
his Reebok joints was cool.
It's enough where, I mean, come on, it's enough where kids won't get made fun of, right? And I think that
kids are brutal.
You know, kids are very brutal, but
Word.
But it kind of goes back. It kind of goes back to what I was saying. We have to stop always thinking about selling cool things and look at selling things for different things. Like his is more so accessibility. The coolness, he doesn't have to necessarily sell entirely coolness because Shaq is cool. He is a well-known and famous former and previously pro player. Because he's black and he's a pro player, all that stuff, he is that cool factor. But I think that because, you know, the sneakers aren't that bad and he's focusing on accessibility, he was focusing on making sure that kids can actually afford sneakers and get sneakers that are good enough that they can feel good about wearing. We have to always stop thinking about investing in businesses and putting product out just because it's cool. And there's other factors, accessibility, putting out products that are meant to help people improve their lives. There's so many different avenues. And I think that if we focus in just on the cool factor, we're restricting ourselves. And we have to remember, we are already the cool factor. Because anything that's associated with celebrities and black culture, people want. People are injecting crap into their butts and lips just to look like us, you know? So I think it's just like changing our mindset in terms of understanding that we are the ones that have that power. We have the culture currency. And it's about how we structure that culture currency to not only get other people to buy into it, but also how do we structure that culture currency that helps to create generational wealth and create opportunities for others within our community. It doesn't necessarily always have to be about coolness. It could be about building and growth and long-term profits.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to Starberry too. Starberry sold quality sneakers for $15. I think he was rather successful with that too, right?
Yeah, he was successful with that.
Yeah, everybody.
Especially I believe overseas, right?
Yeah, China, they were big, but even here, because he said, "Yo, it's the same material that Jordan uses, but I'm not beating you in the head for $150, $200. I'm giving it to you for $15." So I just want to shout out.
Most people don't know that. Most people don't know. They don't know that the price is not even the materials; it's the logo and the brand, and that's why they build the brand. Yeah. Like I know markets overseas. The same. I could literally make my own sneaker. That's a Nike sneaker and pay less than going to Nike. But people don't know it's not the material that makes it expensive and all that. It's the branding. That's what they add on to it. And then, I mean, there's productivity and all that stuff add to it, the external costs, but it's really not as expensive. People just spend money because of the logo name.
Well, yeah, listen, Nipsey did it. He got it from the brother in Philadelphia who did it with the Philadelphia cheesesteaks, was selling them for $100. When he did his album, and he had the Proud to Pay campaign. You know, he charged $100 for his album. And he said, "Yo, this is for my fans that are proud to pay. You get a little extra. You get tickets to a concert for an exclusive concert, but I'm going to end up giving my album away for free. But the first 1,000 people is $100 if you want it, and you're proud to pay." So that just goes back to your marketing and who's selling the product.
Who's selling? Yeah, I was about to say who's selling the product. It goes back to Wylson's point of the face does matter. So, I mean, kind of jumping back to, I guess, the topic at hand. How do you think this will play out in terms of just the structure? Because there was a lot of unanswered questions, like on Joe's podcast. Again, Nori couldn't answer a lot of questions. When you looked up the information as far as the ownership goes, as far as what's out there, public record, public knowledge, like the one thing that stuck out to me that wasn't answered was ad money, right? Like we've taken ads before, and we know that those ads either are really good or really bad, but it's the percentages they vary, right? So they vary off of a specific rate that is the market value rate. So the same way there's a market value rate for when you go to an expensive restaurant, the steak is just there on the menu, but there's no price. It's fair market value. Same thing in terms of numbers and in terms of ads. There's a fair market value. Now you can scale up depending on your numbers and what you do, or scale down. But the fact that, you know, that question alone wasn't answered, whether you have what the percentage is, or whether you're even able to even take on ads while being on this network. And to hear kind of Nori be like, yo, we'll get back to it. I really don't know. We're going to figure it out though. I was like, what do you mean? Like, I don't want to, like, that for me, those are the unanswered questions. Like, those are the things for me that will determine for me, you know, what this really is. But even still, what's not for us or them or for anyone else could very well be for the people that are on the network. I honestly do think, like I said, regardless, it's a great opportunity. It's a lot of exposure. It's a big push. All eyes are going to be on it. It's the first, air quotes, Black network that is, I guess, relaunching since a Revolt or since a BET or whatever other businesses that are out there that is geared towards creatives and minorities. So I'm kind of just curious to see what it looks like once it's all out there.
I'm curious to see as well. And I think another thing too that I kind of thought about was whether you have full ownership, whether it's partial ownership, or whether it's whatever, right? Why is it that success is viewed upon selling the company instead of holding it and creating that revenue? Why is it that we view that success of building something up and selling it off instead of keeping that Black ownership moving forward? I mean, we've seen that. I mean, look, BET got sold off. There's a few other companies that built up and then got sold off. And it wasn't like a situation where the Black ownership still had it and they just like removed themselves from like day-to-day operations. And then why is it that we do that constantly? Like, it's like the focus of our success as a Black-owned business is to sell it.
Because even for us, we sell the bag. We sell, yo, you got to go get the bag. You have to go secure the bag. Go get any bag there is. I don't know any of the cool lingo that's out now, but the bag is the money, right? That's what you at least you think that that's what the agenda is until you start to learn a little bit more. And as you learn, it's like, okay, all money is not good money, and quick money does not mean that it's the best money, right? It's about long-term growth. It's about long-term revenue. It's about sustainability of that revenue. How do you sustain it? It's not about, you know, getting a quick flip. It's not about, oh, let me come up with this great product and go give it to someone else where they can take it to the next level where I'll never get my worth. It's about, okay, how can I take this to the next level while retaining my wealth and retaining ownership of this idea and concept that I created?
You also know what I think contributes to just certain views, just how we interact in terms of business. I've noticed that we are so, I don't know, and I'm not going to say everyone in the Black community is like this because they're not, but there's some of us in the community where we're so secretive of giving information for someone else to succeed because, you know, I feel like sometimes this view of limited seats affects us actually collectively building up with each other. And granted, not everyone, like, like, you can't help everyone, right? It's physically impossible to help every single person. There's certain information you can put out there that will help others, but I feel like sometimes when it comes to content creation, and I'm saying this just even from experience with dealing with other content creators who are Black stuff, it's like, it's so secretive. It's like, don't want to give off information about why they're successful, or don't want to, you know, oh, well, what's a good, like, do you know a good graphics person? It's like, they don't want to give you that. They tell you, oh, just put a tweet out and you'll find someone that works for you. And this is not even just, I mean, this is not just for the Black community. This is content creators in general. But it's like, why are we so secretive when there are other communities that will give information to each other, that will help with building each other up and build the community? Why is it that we are so secretive and don't do the same and understand that if we actually help one another and build up, that we, one, create our own seats, and two, we can all be successful together? It's like a constant competition that we as Black creatives are constantly going through, because it feels like these companies, these higher ups, it's like they make us feel like there's these limited seats, when in actuality, there aren't limited seats. It's the perception that there's limited seats, but there's not. We can actually create our own seats. And so it's just like, I feel like that's a mindset and a perspective that we have to break. But also, in addition to breaking that, we also have to not have this mindset where just because you are Black and you have a product, and if it's not good, you can't push people to support a product that's not good. You have to focus in on quality as well, or potential too, because you may not have all the resources to make it the best it can be, but as long as there's potential, we see it. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, that's a great trick that they played, man. It's just like, oh yeah, it's not enough money. There's more than enough money to go around, and we really got to protect our stuff. I was just reading stuff, the Dequan, the Instagram,
the meme, the most popular meme account.
Yeah, I don't know how true it. I don't know if that picture is really the guy who sold it, but if he's not Black and he sold it for $85 million, I doubt that money's coming back to anyone in the African American community. Absolutely. And maybe you guys know, I'm still trying to figure out why. Is it like a land grab? Is it advertising? Are they placing products in those memes? Why is it worth $85 million?
Well, it's because of number one, their turnover. Number two, that meme company could easily go work for a company and produce memes. It's the same reason why 50 Cent is very effective when battling people. I'm sure he has a team of people that are specifically hired to just create memes. So anytime you go act stupid, Nas, or I go act stupid and want to say something about 50 Cent, it's up, it's on site. Let's go, let's get to work. So yeah, it's one of those things where it's a quick revenue. It's time consuming, right? Like we create assets, we create all different types of things. And when we do, it's one of those things where it's like, well, shit, how do you keep it up? So yeah, for him to be able to turn that into some sort of revenue generating business just off of posting, that's great. But to your point, that dollar is not coming back to the community. You will never see it.
And Nas, it didn't. Yeah. It's not like this. So I just looked it up. It's crazier. So the Dequan Instagram page, obviously it features a Black teen on it, but people have been calling them out because it sparked a debate about cultural appropriation on Instagram. And basically what they're saying is, yes, it features a Black teen on the profile picture, but it's owned by this company called IMGN. And essentially what happened is 2016, a Black teenager who's Ethiopian and Canadian, he actually sold the page to IMGN. And the company did not announce any changes. This is reportedly from Yahoo. They didn't reportedly announce any of the changes and continued to quote, promote stolen memes which were captioned to appeal Black audiences between millennial and Gen Z. And the guy who is the co-founder and CEO of IMGN, he himself is not Black.
Yeah, so the original dude sold it for not even a fraction of the 85 million. I'm pretty sure on that. And now the new guy sold it again for 85, knowing your worth and knowing what you have in your hand. Like that dude probably just sold himself short. He's probably in his house cursing up a storm right now because something that you created just sold for 1,000 times more. It's just, oh my gosh, man, we got to do better.
Yeah, that's what I've come to. We just have to do better. Like if you're not aligned, then it's never gonna work. And that goes for the higher up people, the Joes of the world, the Charlamagnes of the world, the Rogans of the world, the people that are at the helm when we're talking just creation. Like, I get it. It's a dog-eat-dog world of sorts, and it's business. But at what point do we start to stop? Or what point do we start to look at things like, okay, hey, this is actually affecting all of us. Yeah. You holding information, me holding information, me wanting you up, you wanting me up. At what point do we start to think about, hey, does this really affect our overall agenda of creatives getting equal and or more opportunity for ownership and even just for the opportunity to create? Like, that's just, for me, that's where my space is. Like, I don't think this is the time to waste time on minuscule things, me personally. Even though this is a big topic, like I'm not trying to diminish, what they have going on and what they're talking about, because that is very much X-Men analogy, the Professor X and Magneto, and to your Malcolm X to Martin. It's very much that. They both have the same agenda, but are like, where does it go from there? You know what I mean? So that's just my thing. Like, I just think we have to change our thinking, or realign who you're aligning with. Yeah. That's the other option. Like, okay, hey, if you still giving off this vibe, like, hey, I'm trying to go, stock the fridge, and all you're doing is just taking out of the fridge, but acting like you're putting in the fridge. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's not how that works, right? That's not what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
If we're unified and if we're aligned.
And
that's
also,
just how I feel about it.
Also, companies don't want you to share information at all because it allows them to make these necessary moves and everything. Why, like, from a basic standpoint, why do you guys think that companies don't want you sharing salary information?
Because they know your work.
Because they know that you'll find out, oh, I'm getting paid less than this person, even though I do more, and businesses are always going to try and get more for less. And that's why it's important for not just, and this is just not for Black community members. This is just for content creators and business owners. It's important to share information and share certain information with the right people. Let me say that, with the right people. Sharing information, because you can determine if a company's trying to lowball you or not. I've definitely had situations where I found out someone else's price and someone tried to lowball me, and I said, nah, we're not doing that. And also, we ourselves too have to be okay with walking away from an opportunity that does not align with our self-worth. If it does not align with the value of our brand, if it does not align with the value that we've created for ourselves, be okay with not taking that check. Another opportunity, another check can come and will come. We've seen that with, Shark Tank? There's several people from Shark Tank that said no to the investors, and they're like, oh, you're going to regret it. And then they actually ended up making more money. Like, you got to be okay with not taking opportunities and understand that other opportunities can come. If you have a good product, if you have a good business, it will come. And don't jump at the opportunity of selling or giving ownership or doing something that you may regret later on just because you want that quick check or you're afraid that another opportunity won't come. They'll make it seem like an opportunity won't come, but it will.
I agree. I definitely agree. The one thing I've learned just in my business dealings and just observing everyone else's business dealings is that regardless of anything, those same companies that either lowball you, diminish your value, or don't even give you your worth off top, they come right back. Let me be clear. They come back, and they come back very humble. And for anyone that is an entrepreneur, creative, or anyone, with a product where, to each point, you may not have gotten your worth or whatever the case may be, trust me, they always come back. They always come back. They have to, because they came to you in the first place for a reason. My pops has always said this throughout my entire life. If they want you, they want you. And that could be in any capacity: relationship, business, work, anything. If whomever you're dealing with or whatever you're dealing with, if they really truly want you, they'll make sure that they get you at any cost. So yeah, that's my bit of advice.
This internet thing is still in its infancy too, if you really think about it. The turn of the century, year 2000, 20 years ago. So there's still a lot of gold in them hills. If I'm looking at Joe Rogan get 100 million, Dequan is getting 85 million for a meme profile. For a meme profile, like it's a lot of gold still in them hills, and I think everyone, especially now that COVID is hit, is trying to navigate how do we mine this gold out of them hills, and as a community, not just Black but content creators, you have to be mindful and know what you're doing. Just to reiterate what you guys are saying.
Yeah. Also, it's like you also have to understand your own value and be able to explain your own value. I think there's such a misconception when it comes to business that people think that you have to have hundreds thousands of followers to get a nice check. They think that you have to be at a certain level. That's not true, right? It's all about educating yourself and informing yourself and understanding the business, understanding that industry, understanding the market, understanding how you convey yourself, how you convey your value. There's always, the thing is, people have to understand, if you structure your content and you structure your business correctly, there's always value that you are giving. It's just understanding what kind of value. Is it a niche value? Is it a mass market value? You have to understand these things to be able to get opportunities. Like, I know some people who, look, some of the wealthiest people, some of the people who get the biggest checks don't even have social media. Like, people put what they deem as value, or, oh, I'm valuable now because I have 50,000 followers. It's like, no, if you're viewing it the wrong way. There's ways to convey and market yourself to show the value that you have that exceeds what you may think is right in front of you. And a lot of times that's also why businesses certain businesses, companies screw people over, because they see that value, they see that market value, and they see it early. And then what they do is they'll quickly try to pay you off when it's early, knowing that they see the potential of your business or your social media account or whatever is going to hit millions, right? If you can't see it hitting that point and they do, they will pay you off and then take it to that point, and then you're going to regret
100%.
it. You have to
100%.
really, really understand whatever business or whatever content. Like, don't just, I love content creators, but don't just jump into content just like with the mindset of, oh, I just want to create. Don't do that. Like, you have to also jump in with the business mind and understand what you're creating, what's the value, what's your demographic, what's your market, so you can fully get a bigger picture of where you're going and the value you have, so that you don't get screwed over.
Agreed. Good point.
Wylson, do you have anything?
Oh, no, wait.
Seems like you've been thinking really hard over there.
Well, no, I had a camera tragedy. You could probably tell by the new background.
No lights.
But,
there goes the hangers. The glow hangers.
Yeah. I was lit.
Closet. You're not even the same person no more.
Yeah. I was lit.
Clothes hanging. It's not even a vibe no more. I don't even hear what you have to say anymore. So
yeah. It's not a vibe. I'm no longer feeling marvelous. But I'm not sure if you guys have mentioned it, but that was the most important thing about Joe's that podcast where he had a quote unquote rant, is the fact that his dealings with the company that he was dealing with, basically they were trying to hide his worth from him. Mm-hmm. And his whole entire point in signing that contract was so that he could, put a number on his worth. Because if you can't tell how many people are tuning in or for how long or whatever else, they're not giving you the statistics. Now they could tell you what your worth is as opposed to you knowing. So then when negotiations and everything comes around, they could try to G you.
Correct.
I'm not sure if you guys had said anything about that. Or,
no. But we touched on it, but that's a very good synopsis.
What was really disgusting was to see other podcasters, not really shine a light on the fact that he's really fighting for not only himself, but also for them. But then they're bringing up and making points when they didn't even watch or listen to his full thing about Spotify.
Well, that's the thing. You can't worry about that, right? Like, you can't worry about somebody else's actions, how they're viewing you. Like, I think we get lost in that, right? Like, I think that's the biggest thing of how we get lost is, hey, what do they think about what I'm thinking? And, and granted, there's a small piece where you have to, right? We're all content creators. I have to care about what the consumption looks like and how it resonates with you. But the point is that not everyone is even going to understand that conversation and or that level of negotiation. Like, there really is levels. Like, once you get a little bit more information, there is levels to how things are done, how they're not done, and or how they're received and how they're supported. Like, that's the other big piece is once, you can just see it. You can see when people don't support certain things or when they do. And then you can also just see when it's a genuine thing and when it's not. You can see all of these things. The fact is that you have to stay grounded. Like, you have to stay tunnel vision when it comes to things like this, or in his words, a mission. You have to, nothing can make you waver from that. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, all right, block out everything else. What is the goal? What are we trying to attain? And are we all aligned? All right, great. Let's go and let's get busy. It's that simple.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It shouldn't be that difficult. Again, if everyone is aligned.
I think also people have to view competition a little bit differently. I think that also sometimes people miss out on opportunities to learn because they're so focused on beating someone out, being better than someone. Granted, competition is healthy and it's good, right? It pushes you and it makes you want to strive for more. But I feel like sometimes people miss out on learning points from those they're quote unquote competing because they just want to be better than them. Mm-hmm. Instead of looking at this person's actually helping you because they're showing you a form of success. They're showing you a successful formula. They're showing something they're doing is right. And maybe they're doing something right that you haven't quite done. So what can you take away from that? You know, it's like people got to open up their eyes more in terms of viewing their competitors, not in such a negative way, but actually viewing their competitors as like a helpful, like a mentor or someone who's helpful. Like, you don't have to engage with that person, but watch their moves, see how they handle deals, see what they're doing, and you can see patterns, and you yourself can make the change you need for yourself. It's just, I think, especially in the Black community, we got to stop viewing each other as like, oh, I want to take your seat, or I want what you have, or oh, I'm better than you. Oh, this is whack because I'm better than you. You gotta stop that. Be happy for the success because that person's breaking doors open for everyone else. But then also just watch their movements and see how you can break doors open for yourself, whether in the same lane or somewhere else.
Agreed.
Enough money for enough money for everybody.
Agreed. It really is. It really is. Like, so, I mean, that's all I got on it. I guess to the fans, what do you guys think of all of this? I know that we kind of went in depth, and hopefully, I think we this is a good episode. You know what I mean? Like, I think it was transparent. I think that we covered a lot. Hopefully, it answers a lot of questions for you guys out there. And even if you have additional questions, like, definitely reach out to any of us. Like, we're super accessible, and that could be on YouTube, that can be on social media, that can be wherever. It could be in just pretty much anywhere. We're accessible. We're here. But yeah, share your thoughts with us. Let us know what you guys think. As always, be sure to subscribe, hit the notification button, be notified for our latest and greatest episodes, as well as make sure to sign up and join our Discord. And I'm one of the hosts, Brandon Killabh.
I'm Erin Ashley Simon.
I am regular honest. Let me get myself back in focus here.
Oh my God.
I am Wylson.
And we out. Peace.
Grassroots.